Well, you heard me at the beginning of the show talk about some of the, I guess the haters will call it chaos, the changes within the Trump administration. So there is a lot of turnaround going on. Some would say turmoil. One thing that has been consistent is my former employer, RSBN, is just covering consistently rally after rally. They've been doing this for well over a year. They don't really miss a rally other than like toward the end of the campaign when he was trying to schedule 7 in a day when it was just impossible to get the resources out there to do all 7. But anyhow, joining me now is Joe Seals, the CEO of RSBN, with some thoughts before the next rally coming up tomorrow night in Huntington, West Virginia. Joe, thanks for joining me.
Hey, Adam. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to speak to you, sir.
All right, so you keep your finger on the rallies. You're sending Steve Lookner and the team up there to cover it. But you know what's going on from a more inside view with the rallies, and what basically is going on. What's he trying to accomplish tomorrow in Huntington, and with the rallies more generally?
Well, I think what you're going to see here over the next few months is President Trump going back to the people, sort of trying to bypass the mainstream media. As you remember, which we helped them do during the debate in Las Vegas when they held their own pregame and postgame shows.
Oh, right.
And yes, and so I think what you're going to see is him to hold more of these campaign-style rallies across the country in these stadiums where he can fill them, and it gets him free airtime. The networks are pretty much forced to cover these some way, so he's very smart, and he is going to get his message out there one way or the other, because the people are not being told through the fake news media the accomplishments under this administration. All you hear about is Russia and things like that. So I think that's what he's going to do, and hopefully these rallies will begin happening more frequently.
The economy is one of the things that the media is not covering, and I talked about that with Diamond and Silk. Do you think he'll be bringing that up tomorrow?
I hope so. The stock market's at a record, never been this high before. Jobs are coming back like you wouldn't believe. And you don't hear any of this stuff. This is real news. This is the stuff that people care about and that affects their everyday life that they're not being told. And, if I didn't know better and all I watched was NBC or ABC, any of the networks, I would think that Trump is a pretty bad president too. Right. But there's just so many things that is going on. And I also want to say that I think you're already starting to see, as we go back to what I was saying about him bypassing the mainstream media, if you look at his Facebook page, he's starting to do his own news broadcasts now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Featuring Lara Trump and also Eric on a few of them, which basically is just trying to highlight some of the accomplishments of the administration over the last several months, because the mainstream media is not talking about it.
Well, the mainstream media, of course, is becoming more and more irrelevant. I mean, but we've known that you knew that 2 years ago when you started to get this all started. And they're not helping their own cause, though some of it will certainly is attributable to technology. I mean, you don't need the middleman. The technology is there. I mean, you agree with that, right?
Absolutely. And President Trump has been, and if you look at how this campaign used social media during this election, I mean, social media is what won them the election, not only through Trump's Twitter, but also the Facebook Live broadcast, which we are proud to be a part of. When you would go to the rallies with the cameras, and now we have Steve going out there and saying these people, they have to rely on us, a small little company from Auburn, Alabama, to get their message out to the American people. And so by doing that, we reached over 200 million people through his Facebook just by doing these rallies. So he's learning, he's an expert at doing this kind of stuff and bypassing and getting his message out. So
let me ask you, Steve obviously is doing a great job with breaking coverage. How do you cover, or maybe you haven't yet, or you're thinking about a way to do it, economic news, like the very steady progress on the economy, where it can't be Steve doing breaking news coverage? Do you have any plans how to cover that, or do you just not call it breaking news? What do you do about the more long-term accomplishments? And it may be a challenge you're dealing with.
Sure, we would really like to start covering things like that. Our problem is the revenue is down on YouTube across the board. They're stifling creators and sort of, I don't want to say outright censorship, but it certainly feels like that. We would love to start doing things like this, but Steve can't do it all, as you said.
Right.
And so we actually are going to start doing more instead of just live streams on YouTube, which we're known for when there's breaking news or rallies. We're going to start doing clips where we will sort of highlight news like things on the economy, even sports, things like that. So we're sort of trying to move into a new venture here.
More focus on editing, it sounds like.
Yes.
Did you see the story? I saw it on the Gateway Pundit, which I'm now associated with, about Podesta. Apparently, among all the other things he's been involved with, pushing the censorship on YouTube. Like, I forget what it was exactly that he did, but there was a story about that came out in the last 24 hours, and it probably wouldn't surprise you with the experience you're having.
I didn't see that. What I saw was a Breitbart article that came out within the last 24 hours, which was talking about the exact same thing. About basically YouTube, and they're not even trying to hide it. YouTube made a blog post, an official blog post about this, and said that basically what they're going to start doing is, even if you play by the rules on YouTube and go by, and follow all their standards and all their terms and conditions, that it's going to become more easier for these people, these left-wing groups that we all know like to flock to conservative videos and flag them as spam and things like that, to basically get your video either removed from YouTube or make it basically unsearchable in the YouTube search features. And so this is something that has been, they've already been hurting us. We've been hurting for a long time now. Now they're trying to basically make it to where we can't even survive on YouTube anymore. But this is a thing that I was commenting the other day on our last rally video. It's so clear to see these things. We had 3,000 likes on it and about 200 dislikes as of 2 a.m. Last Tuesday morning. When I woke up 7 hours later, there were over 1,500 dislikes. And so all these people do is they send an army of trolls to your video to flag it, to dislike it. And so this is not surprising that they're throwing all kinds of money in this thing. And George Soros' group has been a part of it for a long time. And, they've been after us as well.
I see the ADL is involved in that. I mean, that organization is a total joke. Covered extensively on the Gateway Pundit last week how they had a list of Trump supporters who they considered part of the new hate, including the Gateway Pundit's reporter in Washington, Lucian Wintrich. Is there a viable alternative to YouTube? Maybe not for getting new subscribers, but at least so your videos won't get removed, where you can say, hey, let's migrate to this particular outlet, which is not going to censor us, even though it may be harder to build an audience because we built this one on YouTube. I mean, you must have a plan B related to that.
There are a few sites out there that we are looking at. We are actually on Twitch right now. Twitch is sort of a site that was originally developed for gamers, but now they're allowing other platforms in, and so there's sites like that. The problem is, as you said, is that anybody that watches any videos usually goes to YouTube first, and it's really hard to build an audience on these. But we do have backup platforms that we upload our videos to, just in case something goes wrong with YouTube. But it's really hard to, and none of those platforms offer a way to monetize your videos.
Oh.
So it's very difficult.
I had heard rumors that Facebook Live was going to allow monetization, but is that not happening? And it's not Twitter either?
We have been speaking to Facebook, actually. I met a few of their people that worked there during the campaign. I spoke with them on the phone, and we reached out to them because we heard that there was a beta program in the works where you could monetize Facebook videos. And we're still being told that they're still testing it out, and only a few creators are being invited in, and we're not one of those creators, so they say they'll let us know when it's ready.
There's nothing coming out of, say, Israel, where a lot of technology comes out, and they may say, the hell with this in Facebook, because, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if there's something coming out of there that you
certainly don't know, but I would absolutely be interested in finding out.
Yeah, you got to link up with Eliakim Cohen, who I have on a weekly basis. All right, politics. You, besides running RSBN, you have some strong opinions on political issues, and I thought you may want to respond to some of the things I talked about, in particular with Diamond and Silk, or maybe Shad Olson earlier in the show, because I know you think about these things.
Diamond and Silk are incredible. Two very beautiful ladies on the inside and out. Just absolutely love them. And really what they said hit me because talking about how the Democrats and the media, it would not matter what this president did. This president could end unemployment. This president could present the most amazing health care package. He could do all these wonderful things, and they wouldn't care because it's all about party to these people, and they're not interested in the success of our country. They're interested in the success of their party, and I think Diamond and Silk really hit it when they were talking about how we are Americans first, and I am sick and tired, just as a normal citizen, it has nothing to do with politics, of the media and of all these people in Congress sort of stonewalling this president and not allowing him to get his agenda through, no matter what. I mean, there's so many things out there that Trump has put forward that have been, as you know, last week the health care bill. It's just amazing at what these people get away with.
And what's amazing is the lack of the slow pace in which they're approving Trump appointees. I mean, we forget how much of the federal government is Democrats, but it's very hard to get things through when you face such a hostile working force, and that's what's going on.
Absolutely. And I certainly don't remember it taking this long to get Obama appointed.
Well, because it didn't.
Right.
Quite simply, yeah. Your memory is serving you correctly. But, I mean, all these things are unstaffed, and there's a reason beyond the chaos, which may occur at the top, but at the much lower levels. It's hard to get things through. Right. Just want to see, I do want to bring it back to RSBN for a second, but, for example, the Debbie Wasserman story with the Awad brothers. Right. You must be following how the media isn't even covering that, especially now the Seth Rich angle. And how do you fill that void? Obviously, it's an ongoing story.
It's just crazy, just like your last guest was talking about. If this were someone associated with President Trump or anybody on the right, this would be all you hear about on the news. And it's just like, you have to turn to alternative sources of media pretty much to find out anything about this story at all. And we are actually working on a few things. Steve Luckner is working on a few things, but we're trying to get some inside stories on this and try to do some reporting on this and just really just push our videos out on social media and hopefully they'll take off. But people like the Gateway Pundit and Breitbart and sources like that are the really only ones covering this story. So
right.
we're certainly trying to delve into that more. Yeah. It's just very hard when you got one man, a two-man staff here. So.
Yeah, let me ask you one more question, and it's a bigger staff for events. Obviously, you have several people working on that. Do you have any plans? This is an idea I have, but it's just not going to come through because I'm too busy right now. And maybe you haven't thought of this, but possibly getting, a lot of people go on Twitter, then they try to do shows. It doesn't necessarily work out. Maybe they don't have great voices. It's not their best delivery. But there's people with huge followers. Have you ever thought about doing a show in which you integrate the tweets of the people biggest followed and sort of doing a digest news show talking about what the most important people on social media are at least writing, if not necessarily saying, and just doing a comprehensive report on that each day? What did I miss today? Like that people can listen to rather than have to be on Twitter all day. Is that something that's occurred to you? You can have my idea if it is.
Sure. Have you seen Steve's breaking news coverage at all?
I have seen his breaking news coverage, but it tends to be on breaking news rather than a more mundane day. I mean, he does a great job with that.
Right. He has started doing, we've got, to check out our YouTube page. He has some clips now that are not necessarily breaking news coverage, but are also, just regular plain old news stories that happened during the day. They don't warrant a breaking news title, but they will. Steve loves to use that the Twitter thing, and I think that's a great idea. Steve, flashes the tweets up on the air and those kinds of things, and just basically he'll say, this is what so and so says, and then he'll give an account of who replied and things like that. I think that's a whole new way of covering news that to his credit, Steve has worked on. But I'd love to entertain the idea of doing something like that, Adam.
I just gave it to you. Yeah, it's just, I guess, non-breaking news. It was just another day. People are going to watch the evening news on channels. Here's what the people whose opinions you actually care about. Here's what Mike Cernovich said. Here's what Paul Joseph Watson said. Here's what Laura Wilmer said, et cetera. And here's what I think of that. And, it wasn't the most important day in the news, but, hey, this is how we're rolling. I don't know. It's just a thought. But anyhow, any final thoughts on the news of the day or anything I forgot to ask you before I let you go?
I really just, again, the Russia thing is, it's such a witch hunt, to take from the president, and there's just, I'm just so tired of hearing it. I just wish people would start to, continue to, I guess, turn on alternative sources of media like RSBN, like Shark Nation, like all these other, and just turn off the mainstream media like they're starting to do, because there's real news out there happening. This president is doing things, and you're not hearing about them, and you really need to hear about them, because the things that he's doing, and it's only been 6 months since he's been in, 7 months since he's been in office, and I think if you really learn all the things that he's doing, you'll be pretty impressed. This guy works really hard, and he really loves the country. He's not perfect. He makes mistakes, but all in all, he's a pretty darn good president so far.
Yeah, and as you like to say, when it comes to shutting off the mainstream media and turning on your computer or your phone and getting the alternative source, as you always would say to me when I would say, oh, man, I don't know how I'm going to do that. It's not that hard, if you remember that.
It's not that hard.
Right. Finally, just remind people they can watch, obviously, on RSBN, Right Side Broadcasting Network on YouTube, but what time the rally starts tomorrow?
So tomorrow, the rally itself, President Trump is scheduled to start at 7 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. We will start our live coverage about 2:30 to 3 o'clock tomorrow, doing our signature pregame show, which you invented. And we will begin. Steve Luckner will be there along with Margaret Howell, who is a former reporter at InfoWars, and then she came from there, from Russia Today, RT. So she's basically a Russian spy. We know that, but we let her in anyway. She's doing a great job. But so we'll have our coverage just like we did when you were doing. Man, you were doing everything for us, and now we've got a crew of 3. So you were really working hard out there, man.
Yeah. All right, Joe Seals, RSBN. Thanks for coming on today. Good luck with the rally tomorrow.
Thanks, sir.